Chapter 10. Slow Play, Another National Crisis. I've had marriages that haven't lasted this long. That remark was said in 1995 in an audible, somewhat drunken tone on the 15th hole of a more than 5-hour round in 95-degree heat by a gentleman who was a colorful playing partner of mine. Regardless of the golf reference, it is a very funny remark. What I came to learn in the ensuing moments made it even more perfect, and that's because it was true. The gentleman who made the remark was a somewhat wealthy golf addict who was part of the group I briefly described in the chapter on the Golf Club of Plantation. It happened on a trip to a resort course in Central Florida during a 3-day outing of golf, cards, and the consumption of alcohol, not necessarily in that order. Unbeknownst to me at the time, the guy was a last-minute fill-in and was, as it turned out, a perfect addition to the crowd. It seemed that, some years earlier, on a very irresponsible trip to Vegas, he'd fallen in love at 2 a.m. and had subsequently gotten married 2.5 hours later. Oddly enough, the following morning, it was the girl who had come to her senses and found a glitch in the proceedings from the night before. She apparently had the good sense to void the entire event, as one can only do in Las Vegas, and bail. As I understood it, when the guy awoke in the morning, he'd been heartbroken about the whole thing. He'd really loved her, but he got over it. If we could go back in time to pre-Columbus, when the world was said to be flat, we could easily solve the slow play issue. We could build the courses so that the 18th hole ended at the edge and everyone just fell into a vast oblivion, after paying their losses, of course. Short of instituting that far-flung concept, there is no perfect solution to the length of time it takes to complete a round of golf. We love the game, we keep coming back, and we bring our friends, our children, our wives, and our clients. It was the decade of the 90s that saw the participation in the game increase by millions. Yes, millions. And even then, there came a time when it was nearly impossible to find ample room for the legions of enthusiasts who were already looking to tee it up whenever possible. Slow play did not start with that boom, but my theory is that the era exacerbated the problem. In Florida, we don't have the same issues as those in the suburbs of the Northeast, where avid players somehow tolerate routine 5-hour rounds. During the winter season in Florida, resort courses raise their prices because there's no shortage of folks from the Northeast who will happily pay the price for a round on a nice course with no lines. Before I am done with this chapter, I will present some useful suggestions for increasing the pace of play. But these suggestions will be directed at the players, not the owners and golf directors who have tried numerous methods, including everything but heavy weaponry, to solve this age-old problem. Increasing the number of course rangers is the first step towards faster play. However, there are a myriad of nightmare stories about rangers who torture groups of poor tourists that have laid out serious cash to enjoy themselves, and instead get harassed by a fat guy with mirrored sunglasses, role-playing a wannabe cop. Time checks at certain holes can help, and generous local rule concessions can as well. My heart bleeds not only for you players up north, but equally with you club pros. Is there a public facility where one of the suits in charge simply outlawed ball retrievers on the course and won all the class action lawsuits? If so, you the man. Watching a jerk who can't hit 50 yards extending his retriever in the middle of a pond can easily make one's head explode. Back to Florida for a second. Yes, it is hot in the summer. It is also hot in Boston and Chicago. I have lived in Florida for 40 years, and it has failed to reach 100 degrees even once during that time. It may be anywhere from 92 to 95 every day. There will probably not be a breeze, and there is a chance of serious lightning come 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But if you were to call 3 buddies at 9 or 10 a.m. and pick a decent course, you'd easily get in 18 holes in a little more than 3 hours, and always at a very reasonable rate. The courses are lush from the rain, and the greens are as good as anywhere. I'm just saying, consider it a well-kept secret. As I intimated earlier, here's a list of suggestions for the players who, for lack of a formal classification, I'll refer to in the friendliest way possible as those who have no fucking business being on a golf course. After my following the rules to the letter chapter, forgive me as I become more hypocritical to make a point. And please know I am not purposely directing anything at you, unless you're one of the aforementioned. First and foremost, if and when you hit the ball, watch where it goes for as long as you can still see it, not just the general direction of the shot. Bring a whole lot of balls with you so that in the unlikely event of your not being able to find your ball, it will not be a heartbreaker. A couple of dozen should do. Upon reaching the green, if that happens, park your cart at the exit point of the green so you can scamper quickly to the next tee. Hitting out of turn is not a penalty, so as soon as you get to the next tee, one player should be ready to play in about 15 or 20 seconds. The scorekeeper has some serious numbers to record, so let him hit last. Don't go near the water. If you hit your ball in the water, just forget about it. The edge of the water is home to thousands of species of venomous snakes, ready to strike. They especially dislike it when a player sticks his club in the murky water to look for a ball. They have been known to slither up the shaft and rip off a player's hand while injecting poison. It's horrible. If you are playing in the South, this last piece of advice is even more valuable. Alligators, who were on the endangered list at one time, have essentially reversed that status via their association with golf courses and golfers. I think I remember hearing that over 750 golfers were eaten by alligators in Florida in 2014 alone, up from something like 620 in 2013. If that's true, it is very discouraging that it did nothing to relieve slow play. Truth be told, the solution may not exist, short of pricing the sport out of reach for even the decent regular players. You can only fit so many groups on a course at any one time, and as hard as the directors try to work around it, and they do try, it is a square peg, round hole scenario. The expense of maintaining a golf course has skyrocketed, which necessitates the recent and, for many enthusiasts, untenable skyrocketing fees. My suggestion to the young player who loves the game, go to law school, pass the bar exam, tolerate the lawyer jokes, and join a private club. To the golf pros and directors who want to find a way to run a great course and simultaneously serve all who love to play the game, I know most don't believe you are, but keep trying.